Welcome to She Saves Herself. Here, we no longer shrink just to survive. I'm your host,
Hello,
Shannon Kaiser.
welcome back to the She Saves Herself podcast. This is the most exciting day that I have felt in a really long time because today we have a very special guest. This is one of my favorite people truly on the planet. She has helped me so much in my life as a mentor, as a dear friend, and her work with Dr. James Martin Peebles. And the perspectives that she brings to us are so love-filled and compassionate and full of learning from her life and her experience. And so she's got a lot of wisdom that we'll be unpacking today. But more importantly, just sitting with her in her presence, you feel uplifted, you feel joy, and you feel like you can walk away with a little bit more proud to be who you are. So Summer Bacon, thank you for being here. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me, Shannon. That was such a beautiful introduction. I hope I can live up to that.
All you gotta do is just be you. No, Summer's great. She and I have been connected for almost 15 years now. It's been quite a while. I'd love for you to first start and just share a little bit more about what you do and how long you've been doing it, and just a little bit, just touch people in who aren't familiar with your work.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a trance medium, which means that I allow for a spirit to come into my body and to use my vocal cords to speak. And I know that sounds really strange to everybody, but it is a real thing. And I'm a self-taught trance medium. I am the spirit that I channel is Dr. James Martin Peebles, who died in 1922 at the age of 99.9 years old. He was a naturopath, a medical doctor, a writer, a mystic. He also was a channel, and he was with the Universalist Church, and he was quite an extraordinary, amazing benefactor to many, many, many people. And there were over 100,000 people at his memorial service in Los Angeles when he died. And he was also a U.S. consulate to Turkey as well. So he hobnobbed with a lot of really, really interesting people, spiritual people, and other people like J.P. Sears from Sears and Roebuck and Bucks and things like that. So, just some really, he was really amazing. So, and he offers a lot of guidance to people about how not to be the victim in life. And I think that's partially what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's really special because that's the truth. So many of us go through so many hard things here on earth, and it can be, feel like, gosh, life's really out to get me. One thing you share so openly, and your mission, in fact, and your mission is not to prove actually the existence of God and spirit to anyone, but it's rather to help demystify the mysticism and really help people feel empowered from within to create their own experience and relationship with spirit and God. And I think that that is really powerful. When you came to that realization of that's my mission, how was that for you?
Oh my, you know, yeah, it was just always part of who I am. I never ever set out to do this as a job. It ended up becoming my work, my life's work. But I was just trying to understand my own personal relationship with God and spirit. I needed to know that God's love was real and constant, that I wasn't going to go to hell because I had been a born again Christian for a while, and I was terrified of Satan and all things, all demons and things like that. And I thought, wait a minute, if God's love is real and constant, then I should have nothing to fear whatsoever. And so that's how my journey started with this, with Dr. Peebles and learning about being a trance medium and things like that. So, oh my goodness, yeah, it's just part of who I am. I never thought about it as like, I don't want to change anybody's life. I can't change anybody's life for them. I can live my life as a demonstration of what is possible. And that's that.
That's a really powerful place to be because I think, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, but we are very human and there's very deep lessons we go through. And a lot of those lessons come into our life through relationships. And I know that we've had talks about our relationships in the past, and you've shared openly about some of your past. And you also shared how being a highly empathic person, a highly sensitive person, a mystic at a very young age, and also growing up on earth, it's actually been very difficult for you at times. I think so many of us can relate who are listening, and I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about that.
Okay, well, yeah, I was aware I was here to do spiritual work. I was aware of that at the age of 11 months old. I felt things very deeply with people. I could sense things about them. And I felt like I was spending so much of my life until I was in my 20s kind of wading through all of the emotions and these feelings that were just bombarding me constantly. And the thoughts that I thought, where are these thoughts coming from? And I was really hard on myself. And I thought I was thinking those thoughts about myself or whatever. And it was just nonstop. Like I thought it was crazy. I went to see a psychiatrist, psychologists and talked to them. And they all said you're fine, you're not crazy. And I ended up actually counseling my therapists, which was really weird. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, but what's wrong with me? There's got to be something wrong with me. Well, I finally understood. It was a weird moment in my life. I was standing in the shower and I hear this male voice say something to me, and I said, wait a minute, who is that? And the voice said something like, oh, it's Bob. And I said, Bob, who are you? And he goes, oh, I'm one of your guides. And it's like, what? And all of a sudden I hear these other voices in my head. Now, of course, I'm thinking I'm schizophrenic, right? So, but now I'm hearing these voices in my head. And I said, well, why are you arguing about me and what I should be doing next with my life? And they said, oh, we don't always agree on everything. We have different ways of guiding you. And I was like, huh? So I was really just trying to understand what was going on here. Well, this is amazing because now, like imagine if you were standing in a room full of people and you couldn't see them and you heard all their conversations and you thought those were all your thoughts. Yeah. Now I understood they weren't. Mm-hmm. So now I knew who I was. Yeah. And I could start thinking like my thoughts without amidst this din of other thoughts that were coming in. So that was a really, really big turning point for me in understanding myself as an empath, as a mystic. The empathy for people was profound, but I started to get a really strong sense of myself. I could feel somebody else, I could feel their pain, and now finally I could know it wasn't my pain. You know, I could finally say, wait, whose pain is this? Oh, it's my mom. I wonder if she's okay. And I call her up and say, Mom, are you all right? No, I'm not. You know, and it was amazing to have that ability. And when you really tune in and see, I want to make it really clear. I'm not the only one who does this. There are probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are not aware of this happening within themselves. Yeah. It's a part of who we are. We are created. We are electrical beings. We're created to pick up all kinds of energy. Our bodies are like an antenna that you can actually feel somebody else's pain if you're aware of it. You know, if you suddenly get a sudden pain in your arm and you say, "Is that what the heck is going on?" Oh, that's not my pain. You know, and you call your friend who just banged their arm on the door and has a big old bruise or something. So there's lots of ways we can pick up on energy and information and all sorts of things. And I think if more people could understand that, you would find that this is incredibly empowering. And I think it's been taken from us. I think it's deliberately, we've been dumbed down from understanding ourselves as the mystic that we are, because it's an incredibly powerful place to be where you just can't be fooled anymore. You know, sorry, I'm on to you, you know?
Right. That's the quote of the day, right? Because I feel like everything you're sharing, I don't know if you know this, but I'll just share openly. The very, very first time I ever spoke to you, I was in a very dark place, you and Dr. Peebles. And I had just been diagnosed with clinical depression. I was in advertising at the time, and the doctors were concerned I had bipolar. And I was just these extreme emotions. Now, obviously, we're talking here, but always, you know, medical disclaimer, follow your heart, do what you do, seek your medical attention. But for me personally, that didn't feel right in my body because I knew my whole life I was always just sensitive, but I was trying to understand it. So everything you just said really came into full force because in the very first conversation with Dr. Peebles, he said, you don't have bipolar at all. Actually, you're a highly sensitive person and you've been picking up other people's emotions that aren't yours at all. And so I started to learn how to regulate. And that, as you said, it is so freeing to not be able to be to know the difference. This is mine and this is not. And one of the things that you share a lot and have taught us is just to ask if you feel an overwhelming surge of I was just feeling pretty good a couple minutes ago and now I'm just depressed. Ask, is this mine? And that's been a real powerful tool.
Yeah, it really is. And it takes a lot of trust. It takes an ability to really grab those moments and say, is this mine? And you close your eyes and you feel like you can feel it in your body like, no, it's not. And then you go, oh, it's not mine. Well, whose is it? And then you kind of tune in and you might see a vision of somebody or get a sense of somebody or not. It could be just somebody who walked down the street and you just happen to tap into their energy.
Yes.
But you have to trust. And the more you do it, it's like, it's not going to hurt to go, okay, it's not mine. Test it out, see how it feels to you. And maybe you'll find that you break through that barrier and that depression or whatever will disappear because it's not yours. You're suddenly sending it back to its owner, basically.
Mhm.
And and the more you do it, the more you practice that, the more you'll have the validation that it's real. That
Yes.
it's just a thing that we
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
It's not something mysterious, really. It doesn't have to be.
Mhm.
It's not coming from the devil. It's just who we are. We're sensitive people. I mean, everybody who's listening, I am sure, has had at least one experience of sitting in a room and somebody comes in and they don't see them, but they feel them. And they suddenly turn around because it feels like somebody's there.
Yes.
And that's what that is. It's you have this ability to connect.
It's like the spidey senses, right? Or it's our fifth sense, or the open. And the more you allow yourself to kind of trust that, I feel like it can really almost save our life.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's go
Absolutely.
there. Yeah, because we are here on She Saves Herself, and I know that we and a lot of listeners have experienced parts where we have been in dangerous situations by people who maybe aren't operating in their light as much, and they're in their shadows, by other human beings or conditioning of whether it's abusive relationships or people who are actually exploiters or predators. I'm going to go there because I think it's important to talk about, because a lot of people who are empathetic, highly sensitive, we are taught, as you said, to turn it off and to kind of put the other person first, to allow ourselves to fawn, to allow ourselves to, oh, this is what love does. And so because you're also a teacher of love and you've had personal experience in this, I'm hoping you can shed more light on this dynamic of why we give up ourselves and kind of go down that dark alley sometimes when we know with every fiber of our body that it's not safe.
Yeah, it just we give the benefit of the doubt to other people so often because, as you say, we are trained to do that basically, and to not think bad thoughts about anybody. And you think, oh, I'm being too judgmental. I don't want to be judgmental, whatever it is. But the reality is, if you can tune into that and trust it, it's sort of like Dr. Peebles says, you don't have to go down the dark alleyway to know that you shouldn't have gone down there. I remember talking to a detective who I was talking to because this man who was the father of my daughter's friend during a slumber party did some very inappropriate things at that time, and I felt it when I met him. But he was wealthy, he had a nice house, he showed me around, he had a picture of Jesus on the wall in his bedroom. Yeah, it was just kind of the whole thing it was feeling weird to me, but I let it go. And then it turned out to be not a very good thing. And I was talking to this detective, and the detective said, these people, he said, we train our police officers to trust their instincts 99.9% of the time. You are 100% accurate when you go with your gut. And that was another great part of my education when I talked with this detective, and I realized, oh, and I started to do that myself, realizing that, I don't know why I shouldn't step off the curb right now, but I'm not going to. And then you find out you just getting hit by maybe an electric vehicle that you didn't hear coming down the street, right?
Exactly, right? And I
hmm
think to that point, there's a lot of different energies orchestrating in the universe too. Like maybe we will hear our spirit guides if we're attuning to that, or feels the sensation, but it's like we are always kind of wanting to be protected, and we have benevolent beings looking out for us, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, very much so. I mean, there's just so many things that I could look back at, my relationships, and I've been in some very, very abusive relationships. And I didn't trust the first thing because first, like my first husband, who was extremely violent, he was really handsome. He had
Right?
a lot of charisma. He was a great dancer, and I didn't trust the first thing that I felt, which was you do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not go there.
Yeah.
And I got wooed into the whole thing, and then I had to do some pretty quick thinking and stuff to get out of that marriage safely, you know.
Yeah.
Um, it happened in every situation where I've given that person the benefit of the doubt because they either they'll do something and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's not like me. I won't do it again." And you say, "Oh, so you try to believe that? Okay, I trust that. You know, you're a good person." And but once again, giving them the benefit of the doubt, you really got to give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that too, because I know you've shared about being in that relationship specifically. You've shared openly about how he would come and maybe forgive, or you'd forgive him, and there wasn't, the abuse actually got worse, right?
Mhm.
You have shared times where there was pieces of us, especially as empathetic, people-pleasing overgivers, we kind of empathically feel into their pain. And
Yes.
you've talked about how so many people on the outside say, "Well, why did you stay?" And it's a different experience. And so I would love if you could talk a little bit about how so many of us do get into these because we see the love, we see the potential, and we hold on to that, and how that can help, but also hurt us.
Absolutely. Yeah. We definitely see the potential of the light within that person because everybody has it. You know, we're all made of love. We all have that ability to bring that to the surface. But a lot of times, you know, we're trained, especially as women, I think, a lot of times because we're nurturers by nature. We're, you know, trained to see the potential within somebody, the goodness, and to see if we can draw that out of them. But when somebody's not ready, they're not ready. And so I think there's a fine line there where you have to, which is something I've learned over the years, you have to get to a point where you meet someone, and if they're not asking you for help, don't insist on it. Don't insist on helping them. You
Right.
can see the potential. You might say some things like, I can really see this beautiful side to you, and whatever, if you want to try that. But if they're not ready, they're not going to see it, and that's that. And it's time to move on from there. It's really, again, giving yourself the benefit of the doubt in those situations. It's the there you know why do people in abusive relationships, why don't they leave? And that's a whole other story.
Right. It's a
That's
whole, yeah,
yeah, that's
but
a
I
whole
hear
thing in
that the
itself.
most with people outside of those relationships, and it feels like judgment and shame for the people who have left and gone back, or the people who are still in it, and it actually doesn't feel like help at all. I've seen
Yeah.
families fall apart because they get into relationships and the family doesn't approve of the person, and then the person still loves them. And I think to that point too, we are all on our own journey, and the relationships that we get in are part of our own soul growth. But at the same time, there's a point where, for you, you had a turning point, and I know for me too, where it was like, I have to get out of this in order for me to save myself, in order for me to literally, I had lost so much of myself in that relationship. And that's what happens. The more we try to cater to the people who are harming us, the less our light shines, really, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's a whole bunch of things when when you're in an abusive relationship where you can feel this person, their pain that's causing them to be such an abusive person. And it's hard to, to blame them, even because you say, well,
That's it.
like in my third marriage, my husband was very pained by the fact that he saw his father die when he was 4, and he was told that he was now the head of the house, which is a big thing to put on a little kid. And he never quite got over that and all the anger from it. And he had an abusive stepfather. And so we got into this relationship together. And I said, well, you need to get that anger out. I said, you need to deal with it. So he started to deal with it by using me as his human punching bag.
Mhm.
And, and I really loved him. I really did. And he had such a beautiful side to him. We had some wonderful times together, extremely intelligent, creative, great guy in so many ways, except when he wasn't. And why did I stay? Well, I had children, for one thing. He was extremely violent, and you don't just get out of that kind of relationship easily because you're being threatened with your life.
Yeah.
And I also was concerned about my children's lives.
Mhm.
So it was a matter of eventually, through a beautiful thing that happened to me spiritually, my children were gone for the night at their friends' houses. my husband and I had a really nice night together. I woke up in the morning feeling really, really good, and he was still sleeping. And I was standing in the kitchen, and my grandmother, who was on the other side, suddenly comes to me and she says, Summer, get your keys and your purse and put them under your bed. And I was like, huh? And I thought, that's a weird request, but I learned to just go with things, right? So I got up and I just got my keys and purse and I put them under my bed, and my husband's still sleeping. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, well, grandma was kind of a stickler for doing things in a particular way. So I thought I'll make her happy.
Mhm.
And I went back to doing my thing, and my husband got up and oh my gosh, it was horrible. He just started to because I was on the phone with a male friend of mine who he also knew, and he went ballistic and said and accused me of having an affair and all these things. I was like, what are you talking about? We're talking about the PTA,
Yeah,
Parent
yeah.
Association. Is like, and he was screaming and yelling so hard, and I was sitting there looking at him, and something in me just finally said, nope,
Hmm.
nope, not doing this anymore. And I got up, and guess what? Went into the bedroom, and
Hmm.
he's screaming at me and pointing his finger in my face. And I'm like, uh-huh, you're right, honey, you're right. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. I'm this. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And I was just calm as could be. And I walked into my bedroom and I pulled my keys and purse out from under the bed. He didn't notice it because he didn't know that, I had always put them in another place that he knew they were there. So he
Yeah,
wasn't seeing that because he was so busy yelling at me.
yeah.
And I go to the front door, and that doorknob never would work. And I'm like, I'll pray to God it's going to open this time. And I turned the knob and I said, that's right, honey, you're right. I'll be right back. I just got to get something from the car. And I got out that door and I ran to my car, got in my car, locked it, and I escaped. and,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was another, it was a lot after that, but it was amazing. So that, I mean, there's right there another thing about trusting and going with the flow of things that you feel. And
Yeah.
you might think it's silly taking your keys and purse and putting them under your bed because your dead grandmother told you to, but hey,
But it
it
saved your
worked.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had very much a moment like that. I feel like spirit came in and it was like, now go. Absolutely. And it
Mhm.
was, it saved my life. Like you said, the word escape is very important because I think so many of us had to have moments where we did escape, or some people listening may still be in it. And I think what you shared was really important because a lot of the times, yes, I think first to back up, we should not be asking, why did you stay ever again? I wish we could just take
Yeah.
that out because it almost has like a victim shaming, blaming. And I think we need to be more compassionate towards everyone who is in all kinds of relationships. But when they do leave, and I know when you left, you've talked about a time when you left, I think it was your first husband, you were in Sedona, and the whole community turned against you. And
Mhm.
I would love for you to share that story and then your revelation that you had.
Yeah, it was really something. It was actually my third husband, the same guy I was just talking about, but
Okay, sorry
yeah,
about that. Yeah.
that's okay. That's okay. He was telling everybody that I was bipolar, that I was bisexual, that I had a man in every state, that I mean, just
All these things that aren't.
that I was a drug addict.
Mhm.
And I was just kind of like, what in the world? And the reason I found this out is because my poor daughter was 10 years old at the time. I was out of the marriage, and she was in a restaurant with her friend's family, and she overheard the waitress talking to another person at another table about that summer bacon and how I was all these things. And she came home crying. She said, I wanted to do something, Mom, but I didn't know what to do. And I said, oh, sweetheart, that's not your that's not for you to do. And I said, don't worry about it. People can talk, say whatever they want to. Well, when she went off to play, and I was really angry. I mean, I was like, I'm going to take him to court. I'm going to do all these things, and I'm going to show him. And literally was stopped in my tracks by what I can only say is the voice of God just kind of came over me. It was like this energy just came over me, and I heard, Summer, I know who you are, and you know who you are. And that's all that matters. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah. You know, it's like I know who I am. It doesn't matter if they want to think those things about me. They don't need to be my friends. Whatever.
Yeah.
Let them go ahead and have their beliefs. And so I went on and I lived my life and I never looked back. And over the years, many of those people who were judging me and things came to me for counseling. A lot of them were in abusive relationships, as it turned out. And
Yeah.
they finally got the courage to leave their husbands.
Yeah.
So it was really quite interesting. Time does heal things, and it may take a while. But you know what? I think one of the things that people try to do so often is to change other people's minds for them.
Yeah.
Why, how dare you say that about me?
Mhm.
I am not, bisexual, drug addict, whatever. How dare you? And I'm going to show you and I'm going to change your mind for you. Why? Why would I waste my time doing that?
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't need everybody to like me.
Yeah.
I just don't. If you don't like me, that's fine. Then I'm not going to waste my time with you. Go, bye-bye,
I love it. I love you so much, Summer. That's exactly it. And that's how I feel. And honestly, that advice, I remember you sharing that helped me too. Because when I did escape, there was like this 2, 3 year campaign of trying to just sabotage and come at my business and come at me and all these lies. And it was just weird because people would be acting different. No one came up. No one came up. And then I just remember saying, I know who I am. God knows who I am. Summer knows who I am, right? And it's this thought of, if people are going to believe those lies, because a lot of us go through these campaigns, smear campaigns, if you will, or it's when the people lose control or you put up a boundary, all of a sudden they want to control how people see you. But that has nothing to do with us, right? And so the fact that you said that is so powerful because it really is about the people, like you said, I'm going to move along in love for myself and not get revenge, not go to any level, because honestly, that's an expenditure of our energy that we don't need. So something that's helped me, and it sounds like for you, is move forward, focus on your goals, focus on your dreams, focus on healthier, happier people in your future.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have a garden,
Yes.
don't you pull the weeds out? So
Yes.
that all the good stuff can flourish, and I don't mean to call these people weeds,
Right.
but really, when you say, oh gosh, at first, when I first became a trance medium, for example, some people were really like, whoa, that is weird, you're crazy, whatever. And it's like, okay, I mean, it gave me such a strong sense of myself that I wasn't going to give it up, for anything, not for anybody. And so some people fell away from my life, and some really good friends, people I really loved very much, wanted nothing to do with me. And I thought, okay. And everything kind of whittled down to maybe one or two people who were vaguely interested in me and what I did and all of that. And then it just built up more and more and more. And I now have more friends than I could ever dream or imagine. True friends who would like drop everything to help me if I needed it. And they're around the world, I mean, I have dear, dear friends I've not even met in person that I don't, because they're in Greece or something, but
Yeah.
who are
That's
true, valued, beautiful friends of mine. And isn't that what we want? I mean, it's not about, and the other people who fell away, they may have their own beautiful, wonderful people in their lives who have like mind and like heart, and they're flourishing, and that's fine. But I don't want to waste my time trying to get somebody to like me again.
yeah.
And the other part of that, when you were talking earlier, Shannon, about we should just stop asking, why did you stay? The question is, why did they hurt you? I was always kind of like, I
Exactly.
stayed because I loved them. Is that a bad quality to love?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, really? Are you going to blame me for loving someone? People will be like, oh, you sure know how to pick them. And it's like, oh yeah, I went out to look for guys who were going to abuse me. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
I know.
100%. You know,
I think that's so special that you're saying that too. And thanks for bringing us back because it does show the capacity of the human heart. And we do have the ability to love wounded darkness, the people who are capable of hurting and seeing them through that. And I think that is what's really, we are here to love, right? And you and Dr. Peebles talk a lot about love is why we're here on earth, but there's so many different lessons of love. And one of the questions I had for you was, what's one of the biggest lessons in love that you had to unlearn in your life?
Oh, lessons in love that I had to unlearn. I don't know that there was anything to unlearn about love. I just it goes back to that giving yourself the benefit of the doubt instead of giving the other person the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Probably the thing was to love myself enough, that because I guess I had to unlearn. Let's see, unlearn the lack of self-love.
Yeah, I guess if you can frame it another way, what's the greatest lesson in love you've learned? Let's make it
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Yeah.
really about self-love and learning that was about, taking care of me. It was an okay thing to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I learned a lot about that when I finally got out of the marriages, and I'm still learning about it in my life with, various relationships that I've been in, and realizing that, yeah, okay, I also believe that a lot of these relationships are definitely learnings and things like that. But there is the one thing that one of the biggest things that I learned about love was from Dr. Peebles. I was really being hard on myself, and I'm sure that other people who are listening have gone through this as well. I still loved my husband. Even after I left him, I
Yeah.
still loved him. And I thought, what's wrong with me? Why do I still care about this man? And I tried to convince myself that he was not a person I should love, that he was totally unlovable and unworthy of my love. And Dr. Peebles said to me, Summer, love is never wrong. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
got it.
Yeah. Oh.
And so I can
Yeah.
still love him. And I do. There's a beautiful side to this man.
Mhm.
And he's a miserable, miserable person now,
Mhm.
you know, and he's lost touch with his children. And I mean, the truth will out. And I hope someday he finds his heart. So I started to pray for him.
Yeah.
Because instead of thinking, like, I know a lot of people right now have a lot of issues with a lot of things and politicians and whatever it might be. And they just want these people to just die. Well, how about this? How about you pray for someone you don't like,
Yeah. Right.
that is driving you crazy, that you wish was dead, and pray for them to be uplifted into the best person that they can possibly be
Yeah.
on the planet, and that they will make good choices in life that will be helpful to others as well as themselves. Now,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be the best? I mean, I would love to see my
Absolutely.
ex-husband flourish. I
Yeah.
would love for him to come alive and be vibrant
Mhm.
and really truly know the beauty of who he is. I
Mhm.
truly mean that. Absolutely 100%. That'd be the best thing in the world for my daughter,
Yeah.
who is, I have two daughters from different fathers, but that'd be the best thing in the world for his and my daughter.
Yeah.
For her to see her dad flourish.
It's such a
Wow.
special place. I have been doing that as well as a part of, as mentoring and working with you and Dr. Peebles. And it's changed my life because I'm no longer walking around carrying this anger or animosity or why did that happen to me or how could someone be so malicious? And really, I think a lot of people don't realize they are. They're just so wounded and they're not. The less people on the planet we have sending hate out to others, the higher the vibration can be, the better all of us are. And so even if prayer feels hard, maybe I think for me, the start was how can I love myself more through this? And then eventually I was able to open up to loving and sending love to others
Mhm.
because I love that you shared that. That's really important too, because how has that changed your relationship with how you relate to life?
Oh my gosh, in so many ways, it's I'm really able to really enjoy a wide variety of people. Even and I don't I we can I have some
Right.
wonderful relationships with people who are not of like mind and like heart as far as our belief systems and things like that. I know a lot of atheists and agnostics and but we have wonderful conversations listening to each other and enjoying and learning from each other. So it's really changed my life in that respect. And also just knowing about how the energetics of life works, like by praying for somebody to be uplifted. I've done it as an experiment a few times where I've prayed for the upliftment of somebody and actually saw them change, actually saw a difference. And they might revert back to what they were before, but I did see progress there, and it was like, oh wow, this really works because we are energetic beings. We're connected to everything. We're not separate from anything or anyone.
Yeah.
And I just, just that kind of thing of knowing that is something you can use in your daily life. Like I remember one time I had an innocent spouse claim that I was going to file with the IRS. But I was terrified of calling the IRS because there was all this money that was owed. So I prayed. And also, of course, this is back in the day of the landlines. So you just didn't know how long you're going to be on hold, or it could be 3 hours with the IRS. I mean, it was a long day with
Yeah.
that one phone call. And I said, God, please connect me with the right person to get this done swiftly. And so that I'm not spending all day on the phone, and to get this done swiftly, and somebody who really understands me and hears me. And I heard, tell them that you are afraid, that you're scared making this call. And they said, go ahead and make the call now. So I did. I got right through.
Wow.
And the person who picks up the phone, you're not going to believe this, on the other end at the IRS. Hello, my name is Summer. How can I help you?
I've never met two Summers ever.
It
Oh,
was like, what?
I love it. Oh,
And it was just this connection of
there you
just,
go.
oh,
Exactly.
we were just like the same person in so many ways. And
Yeah.
it got filed, and I got the innocent spouse claim, was immediately pushed through, and everything turned out in my favor. It was amazing.
This is so special too because I think it shows the power. Everything is energy, but we also have such benevolent help with us. You prayed and you trusted. Some people hear it, some people feel it, and I think that anytime we're in any part of a situation that feels overwhelming, sometimes just sitting and praying or asking for help can change everything.
Absolutely. And something, it takes a lot of the sting out of life.
Yeah.
So many people will spend their day feeling so frustrated. Oh, shoot, I can't find my car keys. Oh, I'm late for work. Oh, why is this person, tailgating me, or why are they going so slow in front of me? If you really understand that everything has a purpose, everything has value, everything has a reason for existing. You lose your car keys, and for one thing, you could close your eyes and just go, where are my car keys? And just see them, because
I've
they're
tried
energy.
that.
And you might be like, oh, I behind the toilet, what?
Yeah, right.
And you go there and you find them. I mean, but also, if you're late for work, or somebody's going slowly in front of you, there's also this thing of, perhaps that's preventing you from being in a car accident.
Yeah.
Perhaps there's other divine timing. Maybe, I mean, maybe you're going on your way to Walmart, and you can't seem to get there, and the traffic is holding you up, and you're trying to get there by a certain time, but maybe Walmart is being held up by
Yeah.
somebody, and you missed out on that. And if you push against life, if you push against those things and say, I have got to get to work now, and just, and you zip around and you do the thing, and then you might find you got in that accident, or
Yeah.
you say, oh,
It's almost
so
like
yeah,
a
everybody's
force.
telling you something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a special kind of, I always like to say, let's flow, not force. And it's that kind of idea. It's like when I try to push or resist or make things happen on my terms, first of
Mhm.
all, it causes a lot of body inflammation and headaches, and it just
Yeah.
gets, but more importantly, when you're just trusting and flowing, I have seen such a change in my life as well.
Mhm.
And so I want to circle back to a question that was really wanting to come through when you were talking about in the relationships, because this is something I feel that a lot of us go through when we'll leave in a relationship that might have not been so healthy. We're starting out in a new one, we're giving ourselves permission, and then all of a sudden we start to feel overwhelmed, or oh, they're doing something, maybe you're more hyper vigilant like the other person. How do you know the difference between intuition and maybe a trauma response or PTSD?
Oh, well, intuition it's a calm place, for one thing. You get a nudge, you get a sensation. I get a feeling in my body. I get a word that I know is not mine, and that's come through a lot of practice. That's really all I can say about that. As far as intuition, a trauma response is clearly just it's reacting, not responding. It's actually reacting. It's a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And so I mean, intuition is a whole other thing.
I like what
Uh,
you're sharing about it being calm. And the reason
yeah.
I ask is because I work with a lot of people too, and this is something that comes up, especially for women who are sensitive and feeling, I was
Hmm.
involved with someone who was not safe, and I left that relationship, sold everything, moved to Mexico. And then I actually remember talking to you on our little friend chat, and I was getting to know someone else, and my intuition was screaming at me like this person's not safe, but I was also having PTSD because he was doing some of the same things that other person was doing. Well, this new person turned out to be a con artist, and this new person turned out to be very unsafe, but my intuition was getting so tangled up, and it didn't feel calm because my trauma response was so activated. And so it was I guess it's a matter of what would you do in that situation? Because my
Oh.
intuition totally knew. I remember talking to you, and it was like, I'm telling you, I think he's going to steal money from me. But the
Mhm.
thing is, it's like, I didn't want to believe that part of me. And I will say, I think what happened is I was still trying to give the person the benefit of the doubt. Like, no, I know people are good. And that's what was,
Yeah.
so it's this internal battle that so many women go through.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm not perfect at that either. And I get entangled here and there because I do love really deeply. And I
Yeah.
really do see the goodness in somebody. And even if they show even the smallest willingness to try to understand, I remember that when you've talked about your relationships, that they were actually, showing some effort and showing some willingness to learn and to grow. But I think what happens with people like that, that's stepping out of their comfort zone. They like the uncomfortable, familiar kind of stuff that they want to stick with, that they know works for them, which is the manipulative part of them, and they will revert back to that because it's the only thing they know. Being vulnerable is really hard for people. It's very hard to be vulnerable and to be,
Yeah.
willing to be seen and heard and felt by the world. And so I would say that is one thing that in relationships, I have learned that I don't want to hold myself back. I want to be seen and heard and felt. If I'm not feeling happy, I'm not going to pretend to be happy.
Yeah.
And if I'm feeling hurt, I'm going to say that I feel hurt. I'm not doing this. This is not working for me.
Yeah.
And it's very hard sometimes. And I just went through that in a relationship recently that I was in, and finally had to say, I can't do this. I can't. It hurts too much. I love you dearly, but this is too difficult. And it hurts like heck. But
But you're being honest with yourself. That's what
yeah.
I hear. And, I think to your point earlier about there's the isolation period that sometimes happens when we let go of people and the grief. But you're being more yourself. And the more we're able to be ourselves, the more the right people can come.
Yes.
And I think it's important to kind of bring that because that has led you to Dr. Peebles' work. And you've been working with him. I would love to talk a little bit more about your work with Dr. Peebles and how he's helped you even through these relationships.
Yeah. Well, one of the most important things that I've ever heard him say is be gentle with yourself and then others.
Mm,
Because it's loving allowance. He has these three principles: loving allowance for all things to be in their own time and place, starting with yourself. So that's really key to understanding intuition, is loving allowance for all things to be, starting with yourself. Okay, I might feel you, but I'm going to start with myself, with what do I feel about feeling you? And it might be like, don't go there. I'm not, this is not a good situation. I can feel your heart. I can feel the possibilities. I can feel the potential, but I'm also feeling this. And I'm going to have loving allowance for myself first and foremost, and trust that and move with that. And the second one is increasing communication with all of life with respect. And when it means all of life, he's talking about all of life, meaning including yourself. So increase communication with yourself with respect.
with
When your
respect.
when your intuition says, Summy, don't go there and don't do that. Okay, I'll listen to you, Summer, and I will trust in you, and I will trust in myself and what I feel is right for me, and it's okay for me to do that.
Yeah.
And there's no shoulds. No, oh no, you should take care of that person. No, not unless I want to. I certainly can if I want to, but I'm not wanting to right now. And then loving allowance, increased communication, and self-responsibility for your life as a creative adventure, for through your choices and perceptions, you do indeed create your own reality. Never in your eternal soul have you been the victim, but always the creator. And that's a really tough one. So self-responsibility for your life as a creative adventure, through your choices and perceptions, you create your own reality. Well, people say, well, why would I want to create this reality? Why would I create that reality of being in an abusive relationship? You created that reality by choosing to be in the relationship through your choices and perceptions, your perception of that person. You perceived them as being a really wonderful person. You ignored your intuition that said they weren't. You went ahead with it anyway. You created that reality through your choices and perceptions. Then you come out of it and you go, well, I was victimized by that person. Well, but it's about taking responsibility and saying, I did put myself in that position and I understand that. What can I learn from it? How can I grow from it? It doesn't make you a bad person. There's no mistakes, guys. There's only growth. That's it.
Absolutely. There are no mistakes, only growth. And, we are living in a very tumultuous time right now. And I think when we take these kind of lessons that you're sharing and bring them into more of like a pinpointed, right now, 2026, the world feels chaotic outside of us. But what I'm getting is all of this can happen and starts on the inside of us. That's what we know. And okay. I would love to see if we could maybe demonstrate for people, Dr. Peebles, and bring him in. There's no questions, just if there's any message for the She Saves Herself community. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. I can feel him here anyway. I was going to bring that up anyway. I'm just going to have a drink of water before I do that.
Yeah. So this is special because Dr. Peebles is here with us, and Summer Bacon's going to connect us, and Summer Bacon's right here too. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. And just so you know, the way this works is Dr. Peebles comes in, he uses my vocal cords and my body to speak. There's an energetic connection there that it has been created as a result of me looking for Dr. Peebles. I went on the assumption that he knew that I existed and that I didn't know that he existed. So I went on the assumption, you know that I exist, but I don't know that you exist. So I need to go find you with my heart. And that's how I found him. And it was 6 years of that kind of seeking every day, pretty much for 6 years or whatever it was. I think it was 6 years. And then he would come in. So like right now I can feel that there's tugs and pulls in the muscles of my mouth and my throat and everything. And as you are listening to Dr. Peebles, his voice is very different than mine. And as he comes in, you might actually feel something in your own body because you are connected. So here I go. God bless you, Dr. Peebles. Here it is a joy and a blessing when man and spirit join together in search of the greater truths and awareness. God bless you indeed, my dear Shannon. You are a beautiful spirit. My goodness gracious, my dear friends, you are beautiful spirits, students of the divine. You have come to the school called Planet Earth to discover and dissolve the illusions of separation within self and between life. Certainly it is your labor of love to diminish these very same illusions, wherein you will discover that never in your eternal soul have you been the victim, but always the creator and beautiful creator, students of the divine. My dear friends, love yourself, God bless you indeed, and love others as you would want to be loved. Because, my dear friends, that's all that really matters, love. That is the greatest force in the universe, and it is the energy that is at the center of every single solitary person upon this school called Planet Earth. You have never done anything wrong. Be forgiving of yourself, my dear friends. You knew not what you did in these relationships that you might have been in, the one that you might currently be within. God bless you indeed, my dear friends. You are not a bad person on any level, and there is no judgment here at all, ever. God bless you indeed, from the heavens to the earth. We only love you, my dear friends. We only ask that you shine your light as brightly as you possibly can, like the lighthouse, and guide others safely to the shore of love, but not at your expense. God bless you indeed. You must stand tall within yourself. Know the creator that you are, my dear friends. Be the person that you are inside, the loving person. Demonstrate that to the world, and don't be afraid of being seen and heard and felt by the world. Allow for yourself to be seen and heard and felt by the world, my dear friends. Listen for the honest echo from life around you, and you will certainly begin to learn about who you really are, and you will find yourself dancing with the many rather than the few, just as our dear channel Samar has said here, that she found the people of like mind and like heart with whom she could communicate, friendships that are abiding forevermore. My dear friends, finding your family of soul people that are so much like you that you will be exhilarated by waking up in the morning to know that you have these sorts of relationships and friendships. It might just be one person. It might be two, it might be 500 or 5,000. But my dear friends, you will find those people with whom you really truly resonate so that you can enjoy the dance of existence. God bless you indeed. You're a beautiful spirit, student of the divine. Understand this, my dear friends, and realize that this is a school called planet Earth, wherein you have come to discover and dissolve illusions of separation. You're not separate from anyone or anything at any given time. You're all in the same soup together, so to speak, and you are here upon this school called planet Earth to learn about yourself, about the beautiful spirit that you are, the loving spirit that you are. When you are in a state of love and this sort of grace that you are existing in, everything feels prosperous, everything feels abundant. There is nothing to fear anymore. You understand that there are truly no mistakes and there is only growth. You begin to understand the light that you are shining brightly in the world, and you realize, my dear friends, that it's okay for you to be happy when the rest of the world is living contentiously against each other, that you can be happy, my dear friends. You can enjoy your day. It's all right. Permission is granted for this. God bless you indeed. And again, this is the tip of the iceberg. But would you understand? And would you have a question or two here today, my dear Shannon? God bless you indeed. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing this message into She Saves Herself. The only question I have is I am terrified to have you here for them because you've been such a part of my private life, and this is showing more of me.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. This is incredibly vulnerable. And it's certainly, you see, my dear friends, it is just life. The things that you are not told and the things that you are that have been taken out of you is this wonder of the child, of looking at life through a child's eyes, to see the universe and explore it and the possibilities that are endless there. You're an eternal being. You're a soul contained within a container called your body for a period of time upon this school called planet Earth to learn and to grow into deeper understanding of who you really are. Everybody is birthed from the love of God. That is what is contained within you. You are that which you are seeking, ultimately, with everything that you are doing. God bless you indeed. So, my dear friends, understand that might be a mystery to you. Does this Dr. Peebles really exist somewhere? I do indeed, my dear friends. I walked the earth. I felt the experience of being a human being upon the planet Earth, and I left my body, and it was an exhilarating experience. And my own guides told me that I might want to continue working with this school called planet Earth, and I thought that would be a wonderful thing because I loved helping people when I was upon the planet, and I continue to enjoy it. Where I am now, I continue to help the many rather than the few, just because, why? It makes me feel good. It's all right. God bless you indeed. And I love you very, very much. Why would I ever want to hate you? That just feels terrible, doesn't it? You see, those things that you feel, anger and hatred and loathing and all those things, those are really only hurting you, not anybody else. The people that you target with it decide on their own whether they're going to be hurt by it. But in truth, my dear friends, ask yourself, how do I want to live? Do I want to labor in love? Well, that feels good, doesn't it? God bless you indeed. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, and the better you are going to feel in your body, mind, and spirit. God bless you indeed. And so thank you so very much, Shannon, for your vulnerability here today. This is a beautiful way to play with the world, is it not? God bless you indeed. Even if you have to pretend that I exist or something like that, that this is all made up or whatever it might be, then Summer is a tremendously good actress. Yeah, God bless you. Yeah.
No, I'm so thankful. You've been so wonderful, and I know you exist. It's been very private and personal, and you've been such a good guide for me with Summer that now I'm putting it out there for everyone because I know that you can help. My final question is for the She Saves Herself audience. There's a lot of women who are reclaiming their own power and stepping away from these relationships and really discovering the power of self-love. But there's still these we want to talk about the energetic connection of the people from the past who are upset about the control that they no longer have. What is the advice for people who are in that transition?
Yeah, that is a difficult one. We understand this. Yes, it's really a matter of becoming a little bit more objective about what is happening. The person that you have left is very angry and controlling and that sort of thing. And a lot of times when you just don't buy into the energy, you don't feed the monster. And all of a sudden that energy dissipates. It's sort of, if you're being attacked or if you're in a tug of war, what's the best thing to do? You let go of the rope. And why bother trying so hard to pull somebody over to your side? Just let go of the rope and let them have their world, and let them have their anger, and let them have their tantrums and that sort of thing. And we understand that there are many entanglements that can come along with this, whether it is through a legal system and things like that. But really, in truth, my dear friends, ultimately what you want and what you are seeking is to have peace in your life. And it is best to just simply let go of the rope and get on with it. And if somebody's arguing with you and telling you what they think about you, you can just say, well, that's true too. That's what you feel. That's all right. I guess that's unfortunate that you feel that way, but it is your right to feel however you want to about me. And okay, you can have that and your belief system, not a problem at all. God bless you indeed. You don't have to buy into it, you see. You don't have to let it get into your skin, under your skin, as the saying goes here. You just simply stand back a little bit objectively, look at this ex-spouse or a friend that you've been with in life, and say, well, okay, that's who they are, and I'm going to go my way in peace, love, and harmony. And you just see them as sort of a child throwing a tantrum over in a corner. I want my way, I want what I want, etc., etc. And goodness gracious, if you give a child who's screaming for candy enough candy, goodness gracious, they will stop wanting it. They'll say, that's enough. Stop throwing candy my way. Oh, God bless you indeed.
Stop throwing love my way.
God bless you. Exactly right.
Thank you so much for being here with us and being with Summer. We love you.
Thank you so very much, my dear Shannon. You're a beautiful spirit. We love you too very, very much, my dear. And you're doing beautiful work for the world. And certainly putting yourself out there in this way is giving other people encouragement to do the very same. To say, well, you know something? Maybe I want to be seen and heard and felt by the world. Why do I want to lock myself away? Don't I love myself enough to allow for this? God bless you indeed. So, my dear, you've done beautiful work. You're still doing beautiful work. And there is still yet more to come. God bless you indeed. We love you so very much. And you know what to do. Go your way in peace, love, and harmony, for life is indeed a joy, and all you have to do is you enjoy the journey to your own heart, and certainly to your own enlightenment is simply lighten up just a little bit more. God bless you indeed.
So it's so wonderful, and it's been such a gift to have you here on She Saves Herself.
Thank you.
And, you know, there's such a beautiful opportunity for us to grow into more love when we open up more of ourselves. And so, you know, one of the things I said on there was to Dr. Peebles, I'm like nervous to put you here for them because you've been private for me, but to have both of you, my two favorite, you know, just such loving beings here. You are open for sessions, is that right? So people can
Yes, I am now. Yeah, I hadn't been for a while, but I am back to doing
so if anyone wants to connect with you, let them know where they can find you. And you also have, you're just very prolific with writing. I know you said you're working on some books, but her website's full of resources as well. Summer is one of my dearest friends, but also my mentor. So if you resonate with what we shared today, you can learn more. Where, Summer?
At summerbacon.com. It's SUMMER and bacon, BACON.com.
Thank you.
And, thank you so much, Shannon, for having me. This has been really fun.
Thanks so much for tuning in to She Saves Herself podcast. If this episode moved you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs it. If you have a question for the show, visit shesavesherself.org and send it in through the contact page. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're there, you can go to donate and you can help the cause and help support emotional abuse survivors on their healing journey. Until next time, keep going and growing. And remember, you are your own rescue and you are so worth it.